disaster strikes. When the city quakes in fear. When there's no one to turn to. Who are you gonna call?
That's your cue, killer.
We zijn vandaag op uitnodiging van Atari naar het hoge noorden afgereisd. Meer bepaald zitten we in het zonnige en vooral windige Rotterdam. En waarom zitten we hier? Who you gonna call? The movie is set in 1980s New York. How about the game?
The game is set in 1991, 2 years after the events of the second movie, so it leads directly into that era. The big difference is that the Ghostbusters, instead of being sort of thrown out or despised by the city, is now totally loved and embraced by the city. And in fact, they're now New York City's official paranormal investigations and eliminations contractors. So whenever there's a trouble in the city government calls the Ghostbusters to come track it down.
Right. Now, an important element, of course, in Ghostbusters are the ghosts. Tell me a bit more about them.
We've got ghosts of every variety, over 40 different versions of ghosts. We've got familiar ghosts, which you will remember from the first movies. Slimer comes back, Stay Puft, who's not technically a ghost, makes a reappearance, and the librarian ghost of Eleanor Twitty we revisit, and the Ghostbusters get a chance to capture because they never got to capture it before.
And the new ghosts, where do you guys get your inspiration to create ghosts?
Ghosts come out of everywhere. You know, New York City is a city where just about every type of person has both come and visited and died. So we can pull ghosts out of any place. And the situations just sort of tend to present themselves with the type of ghosts that we should use.
And any of the ghosts inspired on your stepmother?
You know what? None of the ghosts have been inspired by anyone living or dead. All resemblance is purely coincidental.
Humor is an enormous factor in the movie. Was it hard to bring that over to the small screen?
Humor is certainly a big element of Ghostbusters, and it's definitely a challenge for video games. And we were really fortunate that having all of the original talent back, having Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Bill Murray, and you know, these guys not only come back and act in the game and do their voices, but also to have Dan and Harold write it. The original creators writing the game certainly gave us a leg up for doing the comedy.
Don't look directly into the trap! I looked at the trap, Ray!
So grab your proton pack.
Oh, nice shooting, Ted!
And destroy the world. Sorry, I meant save the world.
So now Ghostbusters game, it's like a third installment of the movie, or is it going to be a third movie? Any rumors on that? I mean, you are a producer, you're in the scene.
That's a great question for Sony Pictures and for the talent themselves, but we are telling the third chapter of the Ghostbusters story. Dan Aykroyd has referred to it as his third movie from time to time, but you know, we're just really grateful for being able to contribute to such a phenomenal franchise, such an exciting franchise, and something so iconic, such a big part of everyone's youth. So again, fantastic opportunity for fans of the Ghostbusters property to get back in it after 25 years.
Something's wrong. Gloom in the room. Outside is the storm. All alone in the crib. Watching the tube. Yo, is that what I did? Did I see something move? Walk through the wall with no time to stall.
you guys focus your game? On which audience are you focusing your games? Like the hardcore gamer, or can everybody play the game?
The thing about Ghostbusters is that it's got a really wide demographic. It's still very popular between small children age 13 to, or 6 to 13, and then up to age 60. So we're covering a wide gamut. Ghostbusters has finally sort of made that transition into being a classic. So we have 3 levels of difficulty. One at the very low end is for people who are either new to games or just really want to go through and play the story. And then we rank difficulty up to high hardcore, which is going to be a big challenge even for your most professional game players.
Which brings me to the question, I mean, everybody born in the 70s or earlier know Ghostbusters. But how are you going to bring it to like kids of the 80s and the 90s?
The thing about Ghostbusters is now that it's become a classic, people that enjoyed it originally in the films and in the theaters have introduced it back to their children. And so there's a whole generation of people now that want to play with their children, and children want to play with their parents. So it's something we're looking forward to, bringing families even closer together.
Ghostbusters! Who you gonna call? With Bill Murray,
Dogs and cats living together. Fast hysteria.
Dan Aykroyd,
It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Harold Ramis,
Don't cross the streams.
Ernie Hudson.
We have the tools. We have the talent.
In an all-new story you won't see in theaters. From the creators of the original Ghostbusters.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Ghostbusters, the video game.
Well, there's something you don't see every day.